What is going on, YouTube? H Dynasty Buffs bringing you Week 10 Q&A podcast. Got these boomer busts and start sit with updated rankings. My partner joining me today. What's up, Max?
What's up?
All right, without further ado, let's get it.
It's showtime, folks. It's showtime.
All right, so I just checked my crystal ball last night, and it gave me the right answers for boomer bust picks this week. So who we got for quarterback? I don't know. According to the crystal ball, we're riding with Dak this week. It says Dak Prescott. Says Joe Burrow, Kyler Murray, and Sam Howell. Although you probably think, oh my gosh, Kyler Murray in his first start. Yep. You know me. Been waiting for Kyler Murray to come back since last year. All in on Kyler Murray this week. Has a nice matchup against Atlanta. I think he can get 16 and a half. You saw my rankings past couple of days. I had him 16.6. I like him this week. And I had this question this morning asked me, hey, Trevor Lawrence or Kyler Murray? Well, Trevor Lawrence playing San Francisco. San Francisco just added Chase Young. They've been improving that defense, and their offense is pretty solid. They're getting their guys back now. I think they're going to come after Trevor Lawrence. This is going to be the ETN show. So low on Lawrence as well as low on Will Levis this week going against Tampa. So Trevor and Will Levis are my two bust picks this week. How about you, Max? You got any comments on any of these?
No, I'm surprised they got Lawrence so high against San Francisco. Their defense is really good. He hasn't had over 17 points for a while, for several weeks. So as much as I like Trevor Lawrence, probably a good pick for that week. And if it's the Etienne show, I don't necessarily think it'll be on the ground like running, but maybe out of the backfield passing. For the boom, I tell you who I do like on the boom that you don't have is potentially Jared Goff. Keep an eye on him coming off a bye week going up against the Chargers. I think they might have a big game. He might have a big game. He's only projected to get 16 points. I think he's going to be at least a couple touchdowns.
Yeah, they're coming off that bye week. They got J-Mo fully healthy, and Monron St. Brown's fully healthy. Montgomery's back.
Yep.
And I mean, Gibbs has been phenomenal. That defense is coming along real nicely. I'm not sure what Vegas says. I have it on the rankings sheet. Let's take a look. But yeah, we have Detroit favored actually this game by 3. So it could be a positive game script for Goff as well. Maybe if it's close, could be a shootout with Trevor Lawrence. Could get a nice fantasy points. I like that pick as well.
Yeah, they're projecting him to have just 285 yards, 1 touchdown.
Oh, wow.
So, and that's how he gets to 16. I think he'll probably have 2.
Fair enough.
A little bit more, but that's why. The potential's there.
All right, cool. Let's get to RBs. All right. I mean, I haven't checked the numbers with Jonathan Taylor today. He played New England this morning. I haven't checked. I also got Breece Hall. I don't think.
I like the way you put New England in lower caps.
Yeah.
Or lower.
Whoops.
Lowercase.
Okay, so Breece Hall, the Jets are actually playing Las Vegas this week. I forgot to change that. And Tony Pollard, yeah, he's going against New York Giants. I think it's going to be the Tony Pollard and Dak Prescott show. If you recall, a couple weeks ago, I was all in on Dak a couple weeks ago. I'm going to be all in on Dak this week. But be cautious in that I think you can get 3 TDs, but I think they're going to pull them maybe third or fourth quarter, and you'll see the backups come in and play. Same thing with Pollard. Maybe if they get up ahead and they don't use him, he could actually be a bust because Dallas are favored by 17 points. We're going to trust Tommy DeVito. Well, apparently ESPN is. They're still on Saquon Barkley. I love Saquon Barkley. He's amazing. He's phenomenal talent. But we're trusting Danny DeVito living at home with his parents.
Work smarter, not harder.
That's right.
Say, right.
That's right. I mean, he's a starting quarterback for New York. So, I mean, if anything, he's the king of the household, if you ask me.
He's keeping it lean. Not much overhead.
Yep. So, I'm out on Saquon this week, and I'm also Aaron Jones against Pittsburgh. They have a pretty tough matchup. All right, any comments?
Nope. I think those look pretty good.
All right, cool. Let me get to these receivers. So overall, I think ESPN has done a lot better when it comes to receivers and projections, but I still think they're a little bit lower on some of these guys. So I think they're lower on Mike Evans, Deontay Johnson, and Tank Dell for me. I said a couple days ago, and the other one I said, even on Twitter, I said, this might be your last week to trade away Tank Dell for an early first. Also might be the last week that you could trade away CJ Stroud for Joe Burrow. I still make those trades. Expect a big game from Tank Dell because Nico Collins is also out. Expect a big game from him today. And CJ Stroud should be airing it out. If he has a big game, trade him. Trade him in redraft. Trade him in Dynasty for a legitimate wide receiver one if you can. And funny enough, Tank Dell and Jordan Addison, the same number 3. And I think Addison and Amari Cooper are going to have some bad games today because there's matchups, the corners that they have that they're going against. It should be really tough. Baltimore is number 1 defense, maybe 1 or 2 defense in football. New Orleans is probably, they're definitely top 10, and they still have solid corners. And, JJ, Justin Jefferson's not there. A lot of it will be on Addison this week, so it'll be pretty tough for him. All right, thoughts, comments?
Nope.
All
I don't
right,
have
cool.
any problems with those. I like those.
All right, let's get to these tight ends. All right, here's a fun one, right? Whoops. All right, here's the fun one here.
Well, let me just say this one. Remember, I always said you never count out Dalton Schultz.
Well,
Even on the bye week.
ESPN is very high on him this week. I don't know, man.
He's the number 1 ranked tight end. On ESPN. I told you, don't count him out.
I can't do it.
Nobody saw the. Look, since week 4, he's had 13 points, 19, 16. Carolina, he only had 2. And then Tampa Bay had 27. Against Cincinnati, they're going to have to throw it up.
This is the first time Houston's actually faced a legitimate pass defense. They played Tampa last week and dominated. They've been playing garbage defenses all year. So this might actually be a real tough matchup for Stroud. Actually, they played the Panthers, who was actually pretty good defense, and CJ didn't do very well. So here's another opportunity to Stroud to prove himself. But going against Cincinnati, it'll be difficult for him.
It will, but I think for them to succeed, if he plays well, then Schultz is going to be a good outlet.
Fair enough.
That's why I said you never count him out. But 13-3, it's probably about what he should get. So I'm not saying that it should be higher, but I just wanted to point out that he's actually moved up on the ESPN rankings that they recognize. He's actually a decent player. He's not flashy. He's not a great athlete. As you like to say, he's a lunch pail guy.
That's right. He's hardworking, in and out guy. First guy in, last guy out. Type to you can let your daughter date him. That's what the media said. All right, so here's some fun ones. Jake Ferguson, Sam Laporta, Dalton Kincaid, Evan Ingram. So Jake Ferguson, I think Dak's just going to feed him. He's Dalton Schultz 2.0. So I'm in and out of Dalton Schultz, but just different situations.
I like Ferguson.
Sam Laporta, dude, Sam Laporta. I don't know what to tell you. He's one of the best tight ends in football already. Dalton Kincaid, it's clear as day to me. I said this last week and the week before. The Bills refused to use Stephon Diggs. And again, we will see if the head coach decides to feed his best players so they can win games. Their best player is not, in fact, Dalton Kincaid. I don't care what anybody says. It's not him. It's Stephon Diggs.
Who's the coach? Arthur Smith?
Yeah, basically. He also, Arthur Smith coaches for the Broncos and the Bills and a couple other ones too. So I still think Kincaid's going to be a boom just because they refuse to use Stephon Diggs. Des Bryant said the same thing I did. If you watch it, I said they're featuring Kincaid and Gabe Davis. They refused to use Stephon Diggs. I have no idea why, but then they started using him towards the end of the game last week against Cincinnati, and they started scoring points. I don't care if Dalton Kincaid's getting 8 and 9 targets. That's not sustainable for the offense for the future, for the next couple of weeks. You're trying to win the championship. We know that Knox will come back, and he will be utilized because that helps free up some space and makes Knox in line so Diggs can actually get more involved. They have to use their star receiver. We'll see if they do it this week. Evan Ingram, actually, surprisingly, I was looking at this. He's the most targeted receiver for Trevor Lawrence. I still like Ingram for the rest of the year just because Trevor decides to not use Ridley, and I think he's cycling. So Christian Kirk, it went Ridley, Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram. Maybe at the end of the season, it's going to be ETN. I don't know.
Well, that's where I think the tight end position is a good safety valve for a lot of quarterbacks. That's why Stroud has utilized Schultz a lot, because if he gets his first read is taken because they double cover him, then you're going to see the tight end be used a lot. The only one on this one, Taysom Hill, again, always a caution, because that guy, you don't know if he's playing tight end. He's going to get some looks at quarterback. He's going to get some runs. Looking back at his point production, he's a machine.
You'll laugh why I say I'm out on him this week.
Is he injured?
Nope.
Why?
Because this is the exact week for the past 4 years where we all get in on Taysom Hill and then he goose eggs. It's literally in November every single year. So
fair enough.
The right answer would be no. You start Taysom Hill. Yes, he's gonna get his carries, his targets. And Michael Thomas, he's dealing with that he threw the brick at that guy's car or whatever, and he's going to be in trouble. He's going to be in the doghouse. So it's going to be Taysom Hill. That's what you think.
No, you're right. He's gone from 12 points, 16, 22, 20, and then you're saying a goose egg. Okay. It's not like it hasn't been seen before. he gets to last year.
He gets to tight end 9 to tight end 5, and then boom, he just falls off. Okay.
Here's what I just got to read this to you. What ESPN says: producing both a passing score and a rushing score while pacing the Saints in rushing last week signal that the fantasy fund still lives inside Hill's unique skill set.
Oh my god!
So fantasy fund in quotes. I just had to read that one. So yeah, who knows? It's always a roll of the dice. That's my only point. It's a roll of the dice, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I do like that. McBride is one guy I'd say keep an eye on. Trey McBride.
Yes.
They don't have they only have him for 10 points. He's supposed to get 4 receptions for 43 yards and no touchdowns. I think with Kyler Murray running, you're going to see McBride probably have a game. So he's the only guy I'd probably add to the boom potential, just because his points are so low. And Kyler Murray, it's kind of a wild card. Not enough to say, hey, definitive, but if you need an upside play, definitely keep an eye on him if you got him and no other option.
Yeah, he's a start for me. He's tied in 9 for me for the week. He's been coming along very well, right? We liked him coming out of college from Colorado. He, in my opinion, was an elite tight end prospect, but he was just behind Ertz, and he's been getting lots of points, even with Dobbs. I think McBride's just solid. I think he's gonna be good for the rest of the year if Ertz stays out. If he comes back, maybe his production dips, but the kid's talented, and yeah, I'm all in on Kyler.
Sounds good to me.
All right, and just to give some updates on rankings here. So some new information here, right? So we know that it looks like Jamar Chase will be playing today. So, I mean, I was still starting Joe Burrow. I'm still high on Joe Burrow. I've had a couple questions. Do I start Burrow or Stroud this week? I'm starting Burrow. I don't even care. So I'm still high on Burrow. Start him.
Burrow's on fire.
Yeah, I think he's coming along. He's getting healthy. He's improving. And here's another one, right? So we know now the Commanders have a loss on their defense, right? Their defense has suffered. And I think Sam Howell's actually a pretty good play this week as well. I know that, Mahomes is out, Hurts is out. So if you have those guys on bye, you need to do it from waivers. Yeah, pick up Sam Howell, start. I'm doing it right now. Doing it myself. And if you don't have him, maybe you do Baker Mayfield as well. Baker has a pretty decent matchup against Tennessee, so that's another option you could do. And then for RBs, yeah, so I have a bad luck, right? And maybe some of you have the same thing, right? I had Swift, Mostert, and
You need Johnny Smith.
Pacheco, right? I had like all those guys on bye. And then I had, Kyron Williams is still injured and Daryl Henderson, right? So maybe you just got to pick somebody. So I just picked up Devin Singletary. I think he could get you maybe 10 points this week. They got a decent matchup against Cincinnati. They haven't been great against the run. So start him if you can. And then for wide receivers, more options here. Again, if you're missing out on all the guys that are on bye, so say you lost A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and others, like, okay, who the heck am I going to pick up on waivers? Well, we know that T. Higgins is out, and we know that it should be a nice shootout with Cincinnati. Pick up Tyler Boyd. I have him at 12 and a half right now that we know T. Higgins is done. And Jamar Chase might be limited, so Tyler Boyd could be his guy. I say that, and there's going to be a tight ends or like some random person. But I'll start Tyler Boyd as a flex option. And then some other guys you can get off waivers still. I think Jahan Dotson can have a nice game. He's still on waivers, still available. Could be a good play. Like I said, Sam Howell has learned to trust him now. He had a nice game last week. I think he can continue on. And then some deeper options that you might need to do in case you just lost, Nico Collins, T. Higgins, etc. List goes on and on.
What do you think of Rondell Moore now that Murray's back?
I think he's okay. He's like maybe a deep flex option, but I'm not sold on him yet in the offense. He's looked well in this new offense with Gannon, but I'm not sure how the offense is really going to look with Kyler. I know he's learned the playbook. He's been studying. He's been working. So it'd be interesting. I think it's going to be Marquise Brown today and James Conner. But we'll see what happens there. And maybe you just lost Josh Downs too. All right, so I would say QJ is probably on waivers. Maybe you start him. Maybe you have to start him this week again because you don't have anybody. And he's available on waivers. And last week was rough. He played the Jets and didn't have, he was on, Sauce Gardner was on him the entire time, which is unusual, actually. He usually only plays one side of the field. He was playing QJ the entire time. He didn't care. So he just struggled. Maybe it's a lot easier game this week against Detroit. Detroit's corners aren't very good, and I know their safeties are dealing with injuries. So he might not be he might also be a good play. And rounding out for tight ends here. All right, yeah, say you just lost Kelsey for the week, and you lost Goddard maybe for the rest of the year because he broke his arm. Who can you pick up waivers this week and start? All right, well, I actually like Cade Otton for the rest of the season. I think he can be good for you. Him and Baker seem to develop a connection. Logan Thomas, I think he's another solid option as well. And that's pretty much it. It's pretty slim pickings for you rest of the season if you just lost Goddard.
Yeah, I did lose him.
Yeah. And yeah, that's all I got for today.
Yeah, always Michael Mayer. Keep an eye on him too if you're desperate for a player and you got him. He might surprise any given week. He's on the upswing.
Oh yeah. He's actually a good option too, especially Aiden O'Connell improving each game. It seems like the team trusts him too.
Yep.
All right, and that being said, thank you for joining us this week. Make sure to win your week. Let's get these dubs this week. We're getting close to playoffs. Keep in mind those playoffs, usually week 14 is the deadline for a lot of people. Could be earlier, could be later. Keep an eye on that. Ask your commissioners. Thanks for joining us for this Q&A. Put those comments in the comment section. Ask us any more start assists, any trade requests. And you can find us on Twitter. You can find me at Dynasty Buffs. You can find my partner Max at FF Buffs on Twitter. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to our channel. We got daily, weekly videos coming up. Got a waiver wire video dropping soon. Thanks for joining us today. And that'll be said. Peace out.
Peace.